circuit, but it's going to be very tricky indeed, and I think we're going to have a start behind the safety car. Track temperatures plummeted by about 25 degrees from where it was a couple of hours ago. Humidity though has soared. As you can see under the spotlights there, under the floodlighting, there is still rain falling. So for the 18 cars lined up for this, the opening round, the drivers who start first are going to be in for a very tricky time indeed. There's no doubt these cars will be fitted with rain tyres for the first segment of this race. 50 minutes will be the race duration, and we're definitely starting behind the safety car. That has been confirmed at the bottom of the timing screens. There on pole position is the FFF Racing Team Lamborghini Huracan. Well, of course, they're all Lamborghini Huracan ST Evos, Super Trofeo cars. Yuso Puhaka, very talented young Finn, and Takashi Kasai, young Japanese driver, looking a very good pairing indeed. But their margin at the front of the field really slim, just 0.153 of a second over the Gamma Racing car. Chris van der Drift, who's already competed this afternoon at Sepang in the opening round of the Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia, and he's sharing with Evan Chen. Then Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, his entry 66. Alexander Au and Eduardo Liberati, that's third on the grid. Looks bright, but just to reiterate, it's wet, it's warm, very slippery indeed. Fourth on the grid, Ho Just Racing. That's the second of the Pro-Am cars behind the Vincenzo Sospiri Racing car alongside. And it's Toshiyuki Ochai. He'll be kicking off in that. And he's sharing with Afik Yazid, a Malaysian racer. So he'll be waiting to have his go in the second half of the race. 3 minutes to go. You can see the board at the back of the grid. The grid girls move away. And that's the car starting fifth. T-Squared Racing and Chinese racer Huilin Han. He's in the AM class, so really good run from him to go fifth fastest in qualifying. Fifth out of 18 cars. Outside of the third row, number 18, Tedco Racing, Andrew Harrianto. There's the Australian flag for him. Then we go to row 4, and it's PSC Motorsports. It's the car shared by the Seri Thornacol brothers from Thailand, and it's Saroon who should be starting that one before handing over to Saravut. Second car from FFF Racing Team, Yulin. He had hoped at one point to have a teammate none other than Vitantonio Liuzzi, former Grand Prix racer, but realised his AM would make him an AM pair, Pro-Am, make him Pro-Am, not AM, sorry, stuttering there. Behind him, Australian racer Danny Stuttert. And 99 in 10th place on the grid is Runmi Wong. GDL, Gianluca De Lorenzi Racing. A huge number of cars run by the Italian over here. And 69, glowing in the dark. That's Zen Lo, Ileso Motorsport. So one of the metallic body colours. Australian flag on the nose. This is Daniel Stuttard, also racing with GDL Racing, sharing with Richard Muscat, fellow Oz. 88, another one from GDL Racing. It's a whole gaggle of them down here. That's Italian racer Gabriele Moroni, who'll be running in the Lamborghini Cup class. And car number 44, that's one of two entered by 852 challengers. That's Paul Wong, and then in the second half of the race, Clement Lee will take that over. Car number 8 in the gloom over there, Kamlung Racing Team. Kenneth Lau will hand over to Michael Choi. That's glowing very nicely under the floodlights here. Light shining out of the final corner, turn 15 in the background. So 1 minute to go, clear the grid, everybody. It looks so all is right down there. Last minute pat on the shoulders to the drivers at the front end of the grid. In fact, the whole way down the grid, doors shut, and we have a clear grid, just waiting for the last two mechanics to run off. And just to reiterate, this race set for 50 minutes will start behind the safety car, so the Lamborghini at the front. We'll have the flashing lights on the roof. That is the safety car. But the front row is Juuso Puhaka from Finland. Alongside him, Chris van der Drift, a New Zealand racer. Second row is Alexander Au from Hong Kong and Toshiyuki Ochai from Japan. Huilin Han from China starts fifth, and Andrew Harrianto from Australia in sixth place. 6 nationalities in the first 6 positions. That's pretty good, isn't it? So 18 cars and a wet track. What could possibly go wrong? Famous words. Hopefully they'll keep it on the island, but certainly very difficult indeed. They would have had sighter laps. You saw the cars going in and out of the pits in traditional form, trying to work out where the rain has been heaviest, where there's puddling on the circuit. It has been raining for a long time. There was light rain earlier in the afternoon between 4 and 5 o'clock. But as the cars accelerate off, spray coming up on the start-finish straight, just to let you know how wet it is. And certain parts of the track are wetter than others. That's what the drivers have to really detect. big gap before the last few cars getting underway. I don't know what was going on there. If one of them had stalled, I don't know if number 22 couldn't get away. That's Yuklung Shu, but the final part, last 3 cars getting away after a big gap. Number 8, 15th on the grid, Kenneth Lau, and then a huge gap for the last 3. But anyhow, they will be able to catch up. This race will start behind the safety car. This is not a formation lap. As such, in the traditional sense, we have a formation lap and the safety car pulls away. This one will lead them round and probably stay there for several laps at the front of the field, but it's beholden on the drivers behind to keep in contention, to keep close to each other. We can see the car in 15th to just close the back of this gaggle, pushing up all the spray, but then there's a gap to the last 3 cars. They have to catch up with the lap being led by the safety car, and the next lap at least as well. They should be able to get on the tail, but drivers do have to do their bit. So the people on the last row, Yui Tan and Kuma Prabkaran, will be a little bit upset about being taken off the back of the pack. However, how much visibility? This is a long shot, so it shows more spray than there actually is in terms of how the drivers see it. But as you can tell, it's getting dark. There is a huge amount of spray being kicked up, and it's still raining, so track conditions will continue to change as drivers go around. In fact, it seems to be the last 4 cars that are being held up. So Yusu Puhaka leading around behind the safety car. That will lead them away when this race starts next, when they come around out of turn 15. But of course, no one can overtake the safety car. The race, just to reiterate, will start behind the safety car. Skies, not just because it's the evening, but also because there have been a lot of rain in the last half hour or so. So for a lot of these drivers, they've got another race tomorrow afternoon, but they want to keep their cars in one piece. They will have to behave, but then again, if you fancy your chances on a wet circuit, this could be the moment to really work your way up the order. 18 cars coming out to play. There are the waved yellow flags. That's the track coming out of turn 14 up to the final corner, turn 15. Yes, it's a long shot, but just look how much spray is in the face. And of course, it's being illuminated by the headlights of these 18 runners, making it look really very bad indeed. But only a driver in the middle of the pack can tell you how bad it is. For Yusuf Puhaka leading around in pole position, he's just got the spray being kicked up from the safety car, but when they cross the start-finish line, the race is underway, but it's a safety car-led start to the race. No, another full lap with the safety car. We're definitely going to do this one at least. We'll keep an eye out for the lights going out on the roof of the safety car. I'm looking out of my window, just trying to check the last few cars coming through. I think the last one's just coming out to 15 at the moment. Yes, you can see in your shot, one still weaving around at the back, still the lights flashing on the starting gantry. So not safe as yet for the pack to be released. I think all the drivers will be appreciating very much that their safety is paramount, and they're running in grid formation, getting to see where the track is at the wettest. Are there any areas where they might just fancy making an overtaking manoeuvre when it comes to full racing, when the safety car has withdrawn? Just looking down towards the back of the pack, and in fact it looks like we might have 19 starters. I just noticed number 30 is there, didn't register a qualifying time, but that's YH Racing Team. Takamichi Matsuda sharing with Kei Cozzolino. Now there's a car that could come up from the back. Kei Cozzolino, absolute superstar. In fact, we'll have 20. I see Yui Tan is listed down behind Kei Cozzolino. Yui racing as a guest driver. No, he's not, is he? So super wet, still waiting for the field to come round one more time. 19 starters by looks things. Looks like we do not have Yui Tan. Hard to see in the darkness out around the circuit. But certainly for all these drivers. Oh, big twitch from the car in second place. Chris van der Drift, living up to his surname, put a drift on the number 68 car. Not what you want to do behind the safety car. Well, it's in at the end of this lap, so Chris has had his practice skid. Got it out of the way in the green livery car from Gamma Racing, but it's the FFF Racing Team at the front as the safety car still leads them around. But look, no lights flashing on the roof of the safety car. That's the message going back. I'm coming in this lap. So for Chris van der Drift, he'll have to get right onto the tail of Yusuf Oaxaca to see what he can do. But the FFF Racing Team entry, there it is, in pole position, car 63. Coming around to see what he can do, but of course the car at the front of the pack is the one with the advantage. All the spray will be for those behind, so that it's beholden on all behind to get as close as they possibly can for the start. Here, up to the final corner, about to withdraw is the safety car. Lights out on the roof and hanging back to make sure the spray from the safety car has dropped down. Yusuf Oaxaca, no stranger to rain up in Finland. Snow as well, but he's been doing increasingly well racing in the Far East. It's a different sort of rain. So for FFF Racing Team, up to the final corner, he will put the throttle down. He cannot be passed before the start-finish line. I would say Chris van der Drift has actually been caught napping. He's dropped back a little bit, can't be overtaken before the start-finish line, and has been overtaken. Maybe a problem there, because Alex Au went around the outside of him. Gone clear in the lead is Yusuf Oaxaca, but was there a problem there for Chris van der Drift? He's in third place, but he was overtaken to my eye before the start-finish line. Now he's being attacked by the car starting fourth, Takayushi Ochai, so maybe there's a problem for the Kiwi. Let's see, he's back into fourth place. We'll have to wait and see on that, but anyhow, Alex Au into second place, that's for sure, and escaping the lead of the race. Yusuf Oaxaca, where is the rest of the field? Here it comes, second place, Alex Au. So he's gained that position, but there's a tidy advantage for the Finnish racer at the front of the race. Making things look easy. He's used those sighter laps. He's using the fact that he hasn't got any spray in his face. He's the first car to kick up spray. 2 seconds clear at early stage in the race, running a different line there, Alex Au. They've all been trying to work out where there's some grip on this wet circuit. Yes, they're on rain tyres, but it's still the case. We've got a car pulling, I thought he was pulling off the side of the circuit. Alex Au is looking, well, he is pulling over. He's had a problem. Oh, it's all going wrong at the start of the race. So Tosh Ochai is now up into second place overall. Chris van der Drift has dropped behind Hulin Han. One thing we can tell you for sure is there is Alex Au, Ochai in second place. There's a few cars having problems, no problem at all for Yusuf Oaxaca. Now up into third place comes 39, that's Hulin Han, just been mentioning the Chinese driver. Third place, did I say? He's still being challenged very hard indeed. Alex Au in the Vincenzo Sospiri car, white with the blue and yellow flashes on it, trying to fight his way back. Don't know if he just missed a gear coming out of it. Looked about turn 8, I think it was. Lost momentum, lost position. Now starting to fight back all over again. Maybe just brake too late into the corner in the wet and lost the grip he wanted, but fighting his way back. Now I've just received a message. A few of the drivers decided they knew better than those possibly at the front, have started on slicks. I'm not sure I'd want to take their task, so maybe Chris van der Drift is among their number. We saw him have that twitch. He started second, couldn't put the power down out of turn 15 on his slicks, and that is why, presumably, the Alex Au managed to get past him. There is Alex Au trying to get past Hulin Han, the Chinese driver, still just in front, but he's on the wide line. Should be passed out of turn 15, but boy, he's brave. Dared to put the power down, but you see far better traction. Again, this could be a driver on. I fancy both of these are on wet weather tyres. Certainly Chris van der Drift started second, now down to 6th. Well, was that too bold a bid, or is the track starting to dry? Yes, it is. Can't really see in the dark. We can see the spray. We can't see rain falling. And it could be a waiting game for Chris van der Drift, but Yusuf Oaxaca nearly 4 seconds clear. He's clearly started on the wets. He started from pole position. He's pulling clear. Fastest lap of the race to our race leader. There's no surprise. There it up into turn 4. Big gap. That's what about 4 seconds looks like. And then Ochai in second place, lapping second fastest, and everyone else just doing their best behind him. We now have the place change. Hulin Han has been passed by Alex Au. There is Alex going over the curbs, but just keeping it tidy enough to hold on to that third place. Hulin Han back into fourth, and then Sari Thonokul up into 5th position. Chris van der Drift, of course, lost that position to him and has gone back down to 6th place. But I'm going to keep an eye on van der Drift's times. He's, 9 seconds, 8.5 seconds slower than the race leader, the driver he started alongside on the front row. So there is the answer. The Kiwi went for slicks. How's he feeling right now? 40 minutes remaining in the race. Well, he's kept it on the island, so that's impressive. But as you can see, yes, it is drying out, but there are still puddles even in the middle of the circuit. So drivers have to really see what they can see with their headlights, feel what they can feel with the seat of their pants. dark conditions, slippery conditions, hot and humid conditions still here at Sepang. Race order keeps on changing. Number 57 starting to make a bit of progress, of course, was the car I just mentioned, Thonakul, up into 5th position. Going increasingly well. PSC Motorsport sharing with his brother Saravut. And he's getting very interested in the tail of Huilin Han. Tai chasing the Chinese driver. Huilin losing a bit of ground. We've got Alex Au past Han up into 3rd position. And now there is Han trying his best as Alex Au makes progress ahead of him. So race leader, how far clear is Yusuf Pohaku? It was 3.8 seconds last time around. This time I fancy it's going to be 5 and a bit. 5.5 seconds gap between 1st and 2nd. Another 3 seconds back to Alex Au. Huilin Han for now hangs on to 4th place, but Sari Thonakul is getting closer and closer, but nobody getting close, not even within a sniff of the Finn, Yusuf Pohaku. FFF Racing Team, a team that is just getting better and better with the years. Now a big European programme in the Blancpain Series this year. 3 cars, 3 Lamborghinis for them, and it's looking very measured at the front, but a couple of other drivers in 2nd and 3rd starting to pick up their pace, gaining confidence as the circuit dries out. Their lap times coming down by handfuls, 3 or 4 seconds faster than they were on the previous lap. The previous lap, only Yusuf Pohaku was bold. Only Yusuf Pohaku was under the 2-minute 20s. He's in the 2-minute 18s. And now we've got Alex Au in 3rd place, also lapping under 2 minutes 20. Here is the 2nd place car of Ochai, number 38, running towards the edge, and you can see track is dry, but if they slip wide and they hit the curbs have ribs on them. Ribs hold water. Water can spell disaster. They all know that, but there will be at least one spinner, I can be sure. When you just don't have enough grip, you're running too deep into a corner, and then you're out into the beyond, and who knows what beckons when you get out there. But for now, almost matching the pace of the race leader through the 1st sector of the lap. Really good run there from Toshiyuki Ochai in 2nd place. I sense he's being caught by Alex Au, but as I say that, a better 1st sector from Ochai than was for Au, so maybe Ochai will stay in 2nd place a bit longer. 3 seconds clear of Alex Au, chasing the Hong Kong driver, giving chase but not catching. And in fact, what I'm really seeing is Ochai is responding, just set the fastest middle sector of anybody, going up against the sort of club pits wall, if you will, down out of turn 14 up to 15, starting to catch the race leader. I think over this lap there'll still be a slight advantage, but the 2nd part of the lap is where Ochai in 2nd place is starting to close. The confidence is coming, visibility may be improving, puddles may be dwindling. 3rd place, Alex Au, number 66, going very well indeed. Let's see, the gap's 5.8 seconds. So, in fact, we saw the coming of Ochai all but match the lap of Yusuf Pohaku. But I think next time around, with Ochai's tail coming up, he's going to start closing in. Pohaku was quicker in the 1st third of the lap. It was the second 2/3 where Ochai was starting to take little chunks out of him. Let's go outside the top 5, down to Sari Thonakul. 6th place is the Kiwi Brendan Leitch. Chris van der Drift, the driver we're fairly sure now, started on slicks, holding station and still lapping slower than those on wet weather tyres, by about 2.5 seconds down on the pace leader, but he's 7th overall. Kei Cozzolino up from the back of the grid from 19th up to 8th position. I said he's a star in the car, he most certainly is, up to 8th, and I think he's far from finished. Also lapping in the 2-minute 18s. He was faster than the race leader last time around, so keep an eye out. Number 30 in the Pro-Am class, Kei Cozzolino on the up, on the charge. Now Huilin Han in 4th place has really got Sari Thonakul for very, very close company indeed. And the driver behind watching them is Brendan Leitch, 1.7 seconds back. The Thai driver trying to go around the outside, doesn't really work at turn 9. Up the gentle incline through the right-hand kink at turn 10. Then the crest of the hill at turn 11. Are they catching those ahead of them? Alex Au, not this lap, but they're certainly, in fact, this lap they are. So the driver in 5th is faster than the one in 4th. The driver in 4th, which is Han, is faster than the driver in 3rd. Do the maths, we're closing in. Still a little while for these drivers to hang on as the track conditions change. In fact, for those in the pits, they want them to hang on as long as possible, not just so their time in the car is slightly limited in tricky track conditions, but also so the track can get to where it's getting. If the rain is going to come down heavier, they would like it to start doing so now so they can get the right tyres onto the car when the pit window opens. If it's going to carry on drying, they're happy for it to keep on drying. So I don't think anyone's champing at the bit to get in any of the second drivers just yet. And some of the drivers are running solo, so they will have the double job to do. But in fact, though it's hard work in this 50-minute race, it means they know precisely how the track is when they emerge from the pit stops, whereas those taking over are going to have to play that guessing game on their out lap, guessing game in which they do not lose too much time. So Quilin Han still under pressure. Brandon Leitch catching the two of them, so fourth, fifth closing in on fourth, and sixth closing in on fifth, and coaching the two of them. Kay Cozzolino has passed Chris van der Drift. He is now up to seventh position overall, catching everybody in the number 30. 20 seconds down on the race leader, but lapping at the almost identical pace. So what would have happened if they'd qualified further up the order? But starting 19th and effectively last, very, very difficult indeed. Kay Cozzolino making a very, very good fist of it. It's very easy for me to say the track's drying in my dry commentary box, but looking out on the circuit, cars still putting up spray. If they go, well, in fact, I think it may still be raining very slightly, because the dry line that appeared to be opening up seems to have closed in all over again. I know it's a question of degree. Sometimes it looks worse when you're seeing a race circuit under floodlights. It magnifies the amount of rain you think you're seeing. Number 22, that's down towards the tail of the field. And that's Yuk Lung Siu racing for the Kamlung Racing team. He's racing the Lamborghini Cup class, but he's running effectively last. We've got a car that's a lap down, which is Davide Rizzo, who's racing as a guest driver. But no difficulty in identifying the race leader. It's number 63, it's Yusuf Puhaka, and he's doing so very well indeed. 5.7 seconds clear, and he's almost being matched lap for lap by Toshiyuki Oshai, so nothing being gained, if anything, a tenth here or there. 5.7 seconds is the gap between Puhaka and Oshai. Alex Au in third, and Pro-Am leader is the car in second place. Looking for him in the background of the shot there, it has the sort of turquoisey blue-green car. You can't really see it, you can see its headlights, bright yellow. It's 5.7 seconds down, trying to find the dry track on his wet tyres, right up against the pit wall. No one's told him the track slopes that way, so for Toshiyuki he's probably finding more rain than if he went to the other side of the circuit. Yeah, those with a bit more knowledge going up on the grandstand side. Number 39, Hulin Han, leading the AM class, fourth overall for T-Squared Racing, but he's got Zaran Siri Thoranakul right in behind, has been all the time. Looking for his moment to where the pit window will be open relatively soon. So for all the drivers handing over, they don't want to do that thing where they make a mistake on their in-lap and put the car off. Going out onto the curbs. In fifth place, Seri Thoranakul, and really that's not where you want to be. Yes, of course you want to get past Hulin Han ahead of you, but that's out on the curbs is where the water sits. While the track might be drying, you just don't want to lose the traction out over those curbs. Still a lot of spray going into turn 9. Yusuf Puhaka, 6.1 seconds clear. He found 0.4 of a second to extend his lead over Toshiyuki Ochai. AM leader, Hulin Han, there he is, in fourth place overall. Looking remarkably... Oh, well, we've had a problem for Alex Au. Has had a spin, I would think. Suddenly the car that was third has gone to fourth, has gone to fifth. So for Hulin Han, leading the AM class now... has still got the company behind he had before, but the car that was in front, which is Alex Au, is the car at the back of that pack. Third in that pack makes it fifth overall, so a little bit of a slip up. I was just saying last time around, it looks still remarkably wet into turn 9, tricky corner. Flat on the entry, goes slightly uphill on the exit, but a lot of drivers going too deep, and all you have are the barriers up in front of you, a bit of an escape road. Heart in mouth, get the car stopped, but third place became fifth overall. Alex Au will be trying to fight his way back, but aware of the fact he'll be handing over to his teammate Eduardo Liberati sometime very soon. As you can see, some parts of the circuit, we've got Alex Au first of the pit visitors. By the looks of things, he's had that moment on what is now his in-lap, fallen from third to fifth. So for Eduardo Liberati, may not have even seen the incident. He was probably jumping up and down in the pit lane with his helmet on. It may have been part of the plan anyhow for Liberati to take over as early as possible. No, none of the other cars behind as yet have seen to follow into the pit lane, so just Alex Au from what was third that suddenly became fifth place with that moment up at turn 9. Comes to a standstill. In fact, someone else has come in behind it. The Australian racer Daniel Stuttard has also reported to the pits. I sense a third car came in as well. Pit window open, as you can see at the top of your screen, and the fact we've got a few visitors. 6.9 seconds now, the advantage at the front of the field between Toshiyuki Ochai in second place and the race-leading entry, Yuso Pohaka. 44 coming into the pits, one of the Lamborghini Cup class cars, number 44 from 15th overall, Paul Wong, for the 852 Challengers team. Paul Wong, if my memory serves me right, is sharing with Clement Lee, indeed fellow driver from Hong Kong, will be taking that over for Campbell. Our race leader, though, still lapping effortlessly at the front of the field, still particularly in the first of the three sectors, gaining 2 or 3 tenths every lap over the chasing Toshiyuki Ochai. Here is the GDL race, the FFF Racing Team entry of our race leader, Yusu Pohaka. He'll hand over to Takashi Kasai. Great sound of the Lamborghini motor there. Coming out of turn 14, 15 turns on the lap. He's running slightly different line to some of the others, so kicking up a little more of the wet stuff. Don't forget, he started on rain tyres. Starting alongside him was Chris van der Drift. Chris van der Drift is 22 seconds further back, and he started, we think, on slicks. The track has certainly come back his way, but only now is he matching the track pace of the race leader, Yusu Pohaka. So all the laps where he was struggling on the wet have cost him dearly. Not just cost him 6 places, but actually cost him 20 plus seconds. Wheel in hand, there his grey and white entry in third place overall. Not bad for an AM runner. We've got a pro car leading. There is a pro-am pairing in second and an AM runner in third place overall. An AM runner in fourth place as well in Seri Thonorangal. And he's handing over to Kei Cosolino is suddenly up behind him in fifth place. The driver that started down in 19th, Cosolino in car number 30, coming through in fifth place. The big chase from 19th to 5th, through the traffic, through the spray, keeping it straight, keeping it on the island, matching the pace of the race leader, which is never easy to do when you're down the order. But Kei Cosolino, Japanese racer, up to 5th place overall, so pat on the back for him when he reports to the pit lane. I think that's number 8, running a little wide on pit entry. We've seen that from all the best drivers up and down the years, but is it number 8? Yes, it is. So it is. Down towards the tail of the feed, that's Kenneth Lau, handing over to Michael Choi. So we'll take that out of the highlights package. It never happened. Going out of turn, just coming in too quickly on the in-road. You're probably just relaxing now because you've done the difficult bit on a wet track. Luckily, he didn't stick it too far onto the grass. So Kenneth Lau in from 12th overall. And his teammate running out to take over. Kenneth Lau to Michael Choi. So just to refresh, of the top runners, really at the top 10 or so, the only driver who came in was Alex Au, and he would have effected his handover, crossing over to Eduardo Liberati. Liberati back out onto the circuit, so they've done their duty, one to the other. But for FFF Racing Team, 25 minutes, half the race still remaining, and I think they're going to leave Yusu Pohaka out there as long as they possibly can. He's controlled this race from the outset, managed to pull away from Chris van der Drift by dint of having, not just driving well and dictating the pace, but by the fact that Kiwi racer just didn't dare put the power down on his slick tyres on a very wet track. So, from second place on the circuit, Toshiyuki Ochai in for Ho-Just Racing, and that means Huilin Han, unless he follows him in, will move up into second place overall. So he does on the circuit, the Am Racer doing so. But from second place into the pit lane, ready to hand over to his teammate Toshiyuki Ochai, to Malaysian racer Afiq Yazid, who will go out onto what is an increasingly dry circuit, but for his outlap he's got to be careful. There is still spray coming off the cars, therefore, ergo, it's still wet in parts. Still, you see drivers going towards the end of the circuit. There is Han in what is now second place, and is that Cozzolino who's moved through? The number we're looking for on the door is for Cozzolino is car number 30. He should be pretty much in the back of that gaggle of cars, just trying to place him. Yeah, looks like he's second in that gaggle in the red car. That's, I believe, like the car you expect Cozzolino to be in. 19th to 5th, and he's not finished yet. Yeah, indeed, that's his car ahead of 68, that's right. Chris van der Drift now back up to 6th, still going, but still going on slick tyres. So the track's come back his way, but not as fast as he would have wanted. Cozzolino, van der Drift, 30 ahead of 68. And not too far behind them should be Brendan Leitch. So Van der Drift for Gamma Racing has endured some laps that would have been very, very uncomfortable. They've got 10 laps on the board. And certainly I'd say about the first 7 of those, or maybe first 5, were really, really difficult indeed on slick tyres. No such problems for the race leader, Yusuf Pohaka. Suddenly his advantage, of course, the car that was chasing went into the pits. Ochai pulled in, so his advantage went from 7 odd seconds to 14.9. So pit window's still open, but messages will have to go to FFF Racing Team. There's only Pohaka to come in, the number 63 entry. In from second place overall is Huilin Han, and chasing him in is the driver Kei Cozzolino, who went from 19th effectively up to 3rd place behind him. Of course, some of the front runners have already pitted, so wait to see their pace. Car number 18 really getting a move on. Andrew Harrianto must be now on dry weather tyres, because hasn't made his pit stop, but actually he's just suddenly found the fastest first sector time of anyone. He's only 7th overall, but clearly he was waiting for the track to come his way and has absolutely stuck in a flyer in the first of the 3 sectors. So Kei Cozzolino getting the pat from his teammate, YH Racing Team. So as Kei gets out, it's Takemichi Matsuda who takes the second stint in this wet-dry race. Yusuf Pohaka continues to lead. He's now 25.7 seconds clear of Huilin Han. Huilin has pitted though, so really Pohaka is going to stay out until the very end of the stint if he possibly can. But he mustn't stay too late, because certainly he will need to hand over to his teammate Takashi Kasai. But really it's been a masterclass how to get it right, how to keep it on the straight and narrow. Car 63 flying for the FFF Racing Team. The pit stop, as long as they don't fumble that. Track conditions getting drier rather than wetter, which is the way the drivers would like it. But 21 minutes, it's now full dark outside. So track conditions changing, but for the better. Viewing conditions, there are huge patches that are very well floodlit here at Sepang. So they go from light to half light when they go to the slightly further away sectors of the circuit. But visibility looks pretty good. The spray still there, you can see it in the headlights, but certainly far thinner than it was in the opening laps of the race. Don't forget we started behind a safety car. And in from the lead of the race comes Yusuf Pohaka, ready to hand over to Takashi Kasai. He gets a nice tidy into the pit lane there. No need to try and race to the line where you have to hit the 60 km/h pit limiter, because there's no point taking a risk. Do it early. Advantage 25 seconds, but that's over a car that was sort of timed coming into the pit lane, so it did go out rather. But will we have Huilin Han his car coming back out into second place, or will we have the car that Cozzolino handed over to Matsuda? moving up into that position. Right, just very useful message coming my way. If you change tyres, it's about 50 seconds added to your time, so run what you brung is the answer. If you were brave in the first part of the race, Chris van der Drift has taken the pain. Will it be an advantage in the second half? Because certainly 63, we see no dry weather tyres going on to that, so thanks very much for that tip-off. Now, he will have the pain. Well, he won't. In fact, of course, it's come in, so Puhaka won't have the pain. He's had the fun on the wet weather tyres, but for Takashi Kasai and everybody else who's taking over a car that was started on the rain tyres, you're going to have to go looking for the wet patches of the track, and they're fewer and further between. So we could have a race order that keeps on changing right the way to the end of 50 minutes to when the checkered flag is shown. Number 6 being thrown around at the moment, needs to be, because that's down at the tail of the field somewhat. And for you, Lynn, well, he did the first part of the race. He knows what the track is like. He'll be able to monitor the changes far better than those who are just taking over after the pit lock. Pit stops have been completed. The pit window is closed. Everyone managed to get in, and everybody pretty much back out onto the circuit. So let's see how it settles down. It should still be the number 63 Super Trofeo entry at the front of this Super Trofeo Asia race, and it's Takashi Kasai, Japanese racer, taken over from the Finn from Yusu Puhaka. But, as worth pointing out, those that started the race on slicks had some horrible laps in very, very tricky conditions, but we will start to see the advantage coming their way, because certainly these rain tyres, they should be fine on this track, but if it carries on drying out, they're going to start having their performance dropping away. And the worst extreme they can get to is when the tyres start chunking, lumps of the tread start to be ripped away by the drying surface. They become super sticky, which is exactly what the driver doesn't want. It gives grip, to an extent, extra grip they didn't have in the wet, but then it removes the grip from the tyres, and then imagine having like a series of flat spots around your rubber. It will make life very, very uncomfortable indeed. And the performance, if you ever get to chunking, is where it really drops away. 17 and a half minutes remaining. First half of the race went by in a blur of spray and headlights and overtaking manoeuvres. Now it's going to settle down. For some of the drivers, the conditions are not suiting them. For one of the drivers, it hasn't suited him at all. Off at the edge of the circuit, it's a red car. Was it number 30, the one that Matsuda took over from Kei Cozzolino, the car that went up from 19th to 3rd? Couldn't quite see. Let's wait and see if we can catch a replay. Let's hope for the Kei Cozzolino that's not his work being undone. Well, I can tell you for sure that the 63 car is still on the circuit. Could have been this one. It could have been car number 22 that went off the circuit. That's a metallic red. That may have worked. Lamborghini Cup class car of Yuklung Shu. Now we are having, just to see if my eyes will see me, I'm waiting to see the gap between Kasai, who's taken over the 63 FFF racing team. I think Yazid is starting to make good strides in number 38. Took it over from Toshiyuki Ochai, who moved up into second place. But let's just wait to see. Well, in fact, Yazid, that was a passing manoeuvre. I wasn't sure if my eyes deceived me. So Yazid struggling, not struggling at all, but Kasai on the wet weather rubber. I think they're both on the same rubber, but he certainly adapted very, very well indeed. Thought it was an overtaking manoeuvre, had a change at the front of the race. So 38, the Pro-Am runner from Hojust Racing, now into the lead. 68, Chris van der Drift. Well, it still says van der Drift, but he should have handed it over to his teammate. I'm sure he's polite enough to put Evan Chen on board, but so it's possibly not a switching of the switch to change the driver's name on the transponder. He is starting to close in now in 3rd place. 38, though, leading the race. Afik Yazid, where do you want to win? Anywhere. Where do you want to win even more? On your home circuit. So for the Malaysian racer, this is looking very good indeed. Quarter of an hour to go, sliding it around and just finding enough traction not to be too risky, but certainly lapping very well indeed on his first flying lap since being in the pits, waiting for Kasai to come through. He took over the car from, was brought in with a huge lead by Yusu Puhaka. Just waiting to see if he's going to come round in second place. Has there been a problem, or is Chris van der Drift's car now up into second place? Still seeing Takashi Kasai listed as the race leader. I'm just trying to see if he's going to pop back into that position, but I'm fairly sure I saw 38 overtaking what looked like 63. Is this 63 behind 38? Yes, it is. So it's Kasai definitely in second place. At the start of the lap, just 0.6 of a second down on the race leader, and I can tell you it's not that anymore. It's maybe almost 5 times that. 3 seconds possibly going out. Kasai, is he adapting? Not as fast. He's had 1 lap less to get used to it, but I can't see the signs with his driving. But he's going to close in again once he settles down on Afi Yazid. So Kasai is struggling. 68 coming good. Still listed on the graphics as Chris van der Drift, but unless Evan Chen was unseated and just before the start of the race, it should be Evan on board, number 68. But let's, while it says van der Drift, we'll call him van der Drift for now and hope for clarification later on. There it is, the green, red and white nose on the car that started on the front row. Listed in second place overall, but he seems to be running behind Kasai. Slight confusion, no confusion at all about the race leader. It's this man here, Afi Yazid, down very tidy as he goes into turn 1, around the outside, drop down the hill to turn 2. Very slight slope, you can feel every gradient in a racing car. Fastest lap of the race, the car in third place, number 68. So for Takashi Kasai, his dream of victory here in the opening rounds of Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia isn't resulting in second place. He's going to be down in third very shortly. And now the new fastest lap of the race, Andrew Haryanto suddenly started putting in quick times, and he's going faster and faster. He set the fastest lap of the race, and now here is the change for second place. Job done very easily by the 68 entry of Van der Drift, and we think Evan Chen, but we're waiting for clarification. Oh, he goes past, then he has a big twitch. Might be a chance for Kasai to fight back. But Andrew Haryanto going very well, second in the AM class, but number 18 listed as only a one-driver car, Tenko Racing, so he's surpassing himself, really adapting very well. Indeed, yet single entry for Andrew Haryanto, but he's driving as never before, I would safely say. 6th place overall. Yes, he did the first half of the race, he knows where the puddles might be, but really starting to fly. And now for Kasai, there's the battle. With Kasai from second to third. 63 is now in third place and not about to stay there for very long, because Edoardo Liberati, the number 66 entry from Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, the white car with blue and yellow on it, getting closer and closer. So for Kasai, might have thought about victory any second now. He's not even heading for the overall podium by the looks of things, but not this time. He goes across the nose, quite right to do so there, but it's a question of borrowed time. It's when, not if. Another little twitch there from Kasai, hanging on as Edoardo Liberati puts him under more and more and more pressure. But Andrew Haryanto has now, according to one graphic, moved up into 5th overall. My other timing screen has him still behind Hulin Han, but I think around this lap he has made the pass. So Haryanto not just setting the fastest lap of the race by about 1.6 seconds. Quite extraordinary run from Haryanto, but he's catching up, may yet get towards the podium. He's got to find about 8 seconds maybe to start closing in on Kasai, but he's certainly the driver on the move. 63 falling down the order. Liberati's made the pass, made it stick. Kasai down to 4th place, just not looking happy in these conditions. Probably be more happy if it was on full wet conditions, but this wet, dry, under the floodlights, it's very, very tricky indeed. And if you lose your mojo, lose your confidence, it becomes harder still. You start seeing puddles that aren't there and hitting puddles you didn't see. It just goes the wrong way. But Afi Yazid lapping at the sort of pace he needs to, sitting on an advantage of 8.3 seconds over the driver who's in second place, still listed as Chris van der Drift. It may be Evan Chen, or maybe Evan decided Chris could do the entire race when he saw the wet conditions beforehand, because certainly being driven in the style of a Chris van der Drift, I would suggest, in the second part, as it was in the first part of the race. And suddenly the driver in second place is starting to take little bits of time out of the race leader in the first sector of this lap alone, 1.6 seconds. And here's Andrew Haryanto, 5th overall, overtaken Hulin Han on that last lap, as I sort of worked out from the various timing screens in front of me. He's now going to find 8 and a bit seconds, but at this rate he's going to be able to catch the driver who hoped to head to victory in this race, Takashi Kasai, back from first to second to third to fourth, and now he's got Andrew Haryanto with a real hurry-up, starting to take chunks out of him. There is Haryanto, number 18, a black car on a black night here at Sepang, and he really is putting in a really, really strong running. Again, keeping a close eye on any chunks coming out of the race leader's times. For now, Afik Yazid is doing what he needs to just sit pretty on that lead. It was 8.3, 8.4 seconds at the start of the lap. I think it came down a little bit in the first sector, but then Afik fought back in the second sector. You can still see drivers just being a little bit cautious, and with good reason. Under 10 minutes remaining in this race. You don't want to be the one who ruins the work of the starting driver. Car 88, haven't seen too much of him, leading the Lamborghini Cup class down in 12th overall. Gabriele Moroni, one of a handful of drivers doing the entire race on their own. Who's he got company? He's not totally clear. He's only 4 seconds clear of the number 44 entry from 852 Challengers, with Clement Lee doing the second part of the race, and another faller. That's not on the track, it's not near the track, it's what we call far, far away, right at the back of the gravel trap. Shouldn't cause any problems for anyone else. He's far enough off the side of the circuit. We'll identify the faller as soon as we possibly can. Gap between first and second, it did come down on that lap. It came down to 6.559 seconds. So there is the race leader, Afik Yazid. I sense with 8 minutes remaining he might have just enough to stay, but we'll keep an eye on the driver, whether it's Evan Chen or, I'm increasingly confident, it's Chris van der Drift in second place, chasing after Afik Yazid, doing a good job. I think he's just going to run out of time though. But still the fastest driver on the circuit isn't a driver in the top 4 positions, it's a driver in 5th place, Andrew Haryanto. Maybe not only did he start the race on slicks and then it came good, he might have just decided he's going to keep it on a full dry setup, as well as having the dry tyres. Rescue vehicle to the side of the circuit, maybe going to get the stricken car that's stuck in the gravel trap. Back of it hasn't interrupted the race leader. There's Afik Yazid, number 38, Pro-Am class leader as well. And that's Ho Just Racing leading the way. The gap is definitely coming down. Really good in the first of the 3 sectors. Number 68, and there is 68, mention him, and through the gloom he comes, through the spray. Going to be delayed by that runner in front of him. Every 10th of a second he can take off the race leading number 38 car driven by Afik Yazid. He most certainly will. So out of the final corner, out of turn 15 comes Chris van der Drift. How good was this lap? It was 6.6 laps, 4.9 laps, 1.5 seconds came off. Look at the big clock at the top of the screen though, 7 minutes remaining and it's falling. How's Eduardo Liberati going in 3rd place? He's lapping at a very decent pace as well, holding on to 3rd place, now increasingly clear of not Kasai, because Andrew Haryanto has moved up to 4th overall, the AM class leader up to 4th, demoting Takashi Kasai. Now Takashi's got to try and hang on because he's lapping in the 2 minutes 24, 2 minutes 25. Almost everyone around him is in the 19s and the 20s, including the 2 behind, Quilin Han and Richard Muscat, now in 7th place, both faster than Kasai. So Kasai is struggling on those wet weather tyres. And the timing screen has finally decided it's not Chris van der Drift. He was listed with Evan Chen as his teammate, so for a while we were puzzled and threw the plaudits onto Chris van der Drift. Many plaudits should now go to Evan Chen. Hard work done the slick tyres in the rain by the Kiwi, the New Zealand driver, Chris van der Drift, but Evan Chen putting in a really good run in the number 68 entry. And closing in on the race leader, closing all the time. Evan Chen from Taipei will be enjoying it. He'll want this race to go on for at least another 5 minutes. And Andrew Haryanto, fastest driver on the circuit, was nearly the fastest driver off the circuit. Managed to just about get the car around the corner. He's not now going to be able to catch Eduardo Liberati. In all truth, he wasn't going to. Liberati was just starting lap a little bit faster. But for the Temco Racing team, for Andrew Haryanto, That's not a blot on the copybook. It's been a really, really good run, but it looks though fourth place would be where he will finish. Didn't lose a position. Takashi Kasai would have gained a little bit, but when they get back to full running, there is no comparison. Harry Yanto can nap in the 2 minutes 19s, 2 minutes 20s, and still napping in about 2 minutes 25 is Kasai. He's had to keep an eye on his mirrors because William Han is closing in. And talking of closing in, first to second, Afiq Yazid, here he is at number 38, the green car at the front of the field. The brighter car in behind, 3.1 seconds behind now. What's the time on the clock? 4.5 minutes remaining. Evan Chen can do this, you know. But, of course, any driver leading the race knows where the racing line is. He knows that's the driest part of the circuit. If he stays on that, it means Evan Chen has got to go where it's slippery around the outside. Yes, there's plenty of width on this circuit, but there's very much one dry line. And that's the line that Afiq Yazid is going to stay on. He has raced here many times at his home circuit at Sepang. He knows where the water sits. What's the point? Where he needs to put his car, so if anyone comes past, they're going to go onto the wet. My God, it's been a good handful of laps for Evan Chen. The gap was 8 seconds a few moments ago. It's now down to almost precisely 3. Let's see the first part of the lap, waiting for them to get to the timing beam at the end of the first sector, which comes just before turn number 7, between 6 and 7. We'll see how much time he's taken out of the race leader. Andrew Haryanto in 18. Just keeps on pressing on. So he's going to stay in fourth though. Eduardo Liberati can't make an impression on those ahead. He was fairly safe in third, but Andrew Haryanto is having such a good time that he's going to get closer and closer. For Liberati, that's not Liberati sitting just in front of Haryanto there. He's further up the track in his Vincenzo Sospiri car. That's the number 8 car, red and yellow, and that's running down towards the tail of the order. For Choi, he's in 15th overall and provides no problem at all. Keeps out the way. Well done, Michael Choi. So for the race leader, he's got an eye on the track in front of him. Less than 3 minutes remaining in this race. Should just have enough in hand, but oh my golly, look how close Evan Chen has got. Coming up to the final corner of this, the 19th lap. Not close enough to make a dive up the inside, but close enough to have a look. Surely not close enough to dive up the inside. He's had a look, but he just seems to have traction not available to the driver of to Afiq Yazid. Yazid on wet weather tyres, and Evan Chen not. Evan has got the grip. Evan is still in second place, 0.379 of a second. But he can put the power down so much earlier out of corners to get the traction, to get the acceleration down straights like the one he's just driven down. But still Afiq Yazid wants victory here on home ground. 2 minutes and 8 seconds remaining in this race. Oh, running wide out of turn 2, didn't have the grip, doesn't have the track, went over the grass on the outside. For Evan Chen, it was a question of when, not if, and it came as soon as he got onto the tail. Yazid was able to defend through turn 1, did it very well indeed. Tried to be bold and carry as much speed as he could into turn 2, and as he tried to put the power down, the car just had no grip. Into the slight compression, ran out over the curves, onto the grass and mud beyond, and kicked up a bit of dirt. But by then Evan Chen had said, "I thank you, sir," and slipped through. Really, it was a case of a losing battle there for Afiq Yazid, but he did his utmost. Wasn't quite enough. His tyres certainly not his friends in this late stage in this 50-minute race. Fine in the wet in the first part of the race for his teammate, for Toshiyuki Achai, but for Afiq Yazid, no grip left. And again in the background behind the new race leader Evan Chen, running wide over the curbs, keeping it as tidy as he can, but just no longer has the grip that he needs to keep going at this pace. What's happening behind? Suddenly a new fastest first lap by anyone, by the driver in fourth place. Andrew Haryanto had that moment a short while back, and he's pressing on again, 5.5 seconds down on Eduardo Liberati. He's not taking enough time out of him to be able to overhaul him in the final minutes of the race. Yes, we're into the final minute of this 50-minute race. Another race tomorrow afternoon. It may be wet. That's when the rain comes down. We saw it today. Right now, all the honours with the 68 crew. Gamma Racing looked as though they might have got it wrong with the tyres. Chris van der Drift had to fight and struggle on slick tyres in the first half of the race when it was very wet indeed. And though the plaudits will go to Evan Chen for the way he's fought his way up the order to take the lead in the closing stages of this race, certainly Chris van der Drift did the real spade work, struggling for grip when grip was very, very much at a premium in the rain early on in the first part of this race. For Evan Chen, lights ablaze, and his gap he was a deficit of 0.4 of a second. He comes through to start what ought to be the start of his final lap. He's 2.5 seconds clear and going away. As you can see, the clock has counted down, 50 minutes completed, so this is the final lap of the race. New fastest lap of the race last time around to our new race leader, Evan Chen, celebrating. That's the fastest lap of the race on a lap in which he overtook for the lead, which is really quite something for Evan Chen. Okay, in fact, the overtake manoeuvre was made easier by Afik Yazik running wide out of turn number 2. But a fantastic lap all the same. Might even get into 2-minute 15s this time around as a celebration. Just to give you an idea, pole time set by Yusuf Pohaka was a 2-minute 5, so 10 seconds away. Shows just how greasy it still is. And as you can see, still bits of spray as they go on to their final lap. And still plenty of moisture and scary moments stored in the curbs. So Richard Muscat is now right onto the tail of Quilin Han, 47 on the tail of 39. That's the battle for 6th place overall. So it's not over until the checkered flag flies. It's going to fly in the face of Evan Chen this time around. His new fastest lap has just been topped by Andrew Haryanto. Almost 2 minutes 15 there, 2 minutes 16.06. It matters not. He surely can't get close enough to Edoardo Liberati to wrest 3rd place from the Italian. He's 3 and a bit seconds down. He's not going to call that in one lap, because Liberati going just as fast as the race leader, give or take a second. He should be safe in 3rd place. Evan Chen, safe in the lead of this race as he goes around the final lap. The yellow lights ablaze. 68, great run for Gamma Racing. A tale of 2 halves, a race of 2 halves. Chris van der Drift in the rain. Track conditions drying all the time for Evan Chen. Out of turn 14, no problem. And in behind Afik Yazid, going around one of the back markers. So for the final time to turn 15, Chris van der Drift will be very pleased indeed. A driver doing double time, not just 2 Super Trofeo races here this weekend, but also 2 races in the Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia. So very busy, and he takes a first win of his weekend with Evan Chen crossing the finish line. Afik Yazid will come through in 2nd place. Edoardo Liberati ought to be 3rd. Gap between 1st and 2nd, 6.499 seconds. Edoardo Liberati does indeed finish a similar distance behind in 3rd overall. And the AM honours go to 4th place driver Andrew Haryanto. What a race he had. And then we'll have a bit of a gap, and then will it be Kasai or will it be Hulin Han coming through? It should be Kasai. Even if he banked off a little bit, he should be safe in the car that was heading for victory until circumstances went in the opposite direction. There's Quilin Han, he's got company. Richard Muscat, the Australian, just couldn't catch him. 6th and 7th across the line. And then it looks like a dry track. It's an empty track waiting for the best of the rest to come through. Just to run through, Am honours went to the driver in 4th place to Andrew Haryanto. It's a great run from him. Takashi Kasai couldn't hang on as his tyres lost grip almost by the lap, as the wet weather tyres that were so good for his teammate Yusuf Pohaka in the first part of the race, but a curse to Kasai in the 2nd half. And while doing my homework as I run down the order, who won the Lamborghini Cup class, it looks like it's going to be Gabriele Moroni in 12th place overall, waiting for him to take the finish flag. 44 and 88, still dicing it out on the circuit. So Gabriele Moroni may not win the class, because it's been a real charge in the late parts of the race. Last time I looked at the timing screens at that part of the circuit, Clement Lee was some way down, but now Clement Lee getting right in on the action. And Clement Lee goes past to take the Lamborghini Cup class on the final lap. So apologies to friends and family of Gabriele Moroni. It will not be 12th place for him, it will be 13th, because Clement Lee has come through on the final lap to win the Lamborghini Cup class. So very well done indeed. So real perseverance, and no doubt a lot of communication with the pit wall helped him know that he was still in the hunt. And Clement hunted, and then came away with the honours. So change on that final lap, 44 going ahead of 88, and 3rd car in the Lamborghini Cup class is the number 99 entry, highest number in the race, and that's Gary Chung, building on the work of Runmi Wong. So for the race winner coming in, Evan Chen, really, really great drive there, making the most of the track conditions, coming towards the slick tyres on the number 68 Lamborghini. So victory for the Gamma Racing crew. Pro lineup at the top of the table there. Well done to Evan Chen and the driver who started it off, Chris van der Drift. You see Chris, there he is, the bearded figure in the black and white. Well, he would be in black and white overalls. He's a Kiwi, going to greet his teammate. They'll be very, very pleased with that result at Gamma Racing, because today, you have to say, with conditions as they were, all the drivers, all the crews knew they were primed for failure rather than success. It was about minimising the errors. Certainly Chris van der Drift made none whatsoever, did a sterling job when conditions were really wet in the first half of the race. And then Evan Chen, great run into second place overall. A case of what might have been for Afik Yazid. He led until right towards the end of the race, but he was on wet weather tyres that offered him no grip. But he's happy, he's on home ground, grabbed by his teammate as well. So Toshiyuki Ochai, both had turns at the very sharp end of the field. And the tactic of starting on wet weather tyres looked as though it might pay off, but the clock ran against them. Second place all the same, and in the background Edoardo Liberati sharing with Alex Au. That a couple of little moments in the race, but still good for third place overall. So plenty of smiles down below the podium, and I think you can guarantee every single driver, whether in the first part of the race or the second, would have had some big scares out on the circuit. It was never offered the grip they might have hoped for, often didn't offer any visibility either, to make things very difficult indeed. But a really good solid performance with the Pro-Am crew finishing second and Am crew in fourth overall on the top Lamborghini Cup class entry, in 12th overall. But Chris van der Drift and Evan Chen top of the table, 6.5 seconds at the end over Takashi Ochai and Afik Yazid, and then Alexander Au and Edoardo Liberati showing a spread of nationalities, a spread of teams filling the top three positions. Andrew Harrianto just enjoyed it so much, the Australian racer, he stayed out all race to take the AM honours in fourth overall, also bagging the fastest lap of anybody, so he'll be delighted with that performance. And as you can see, the top Lamborghini Cup class car, they've got the grey graphic down towards the bottom of the time chart. Paul Wong and Clement Lee, 12th place overall on the last lap, pulling past solo racer Gabriele Moroni. But well done, crews. That was a really difficult race to get through, and they did incredibly well indeed. So looking forward to seeing some highlights of that, but the podium ceremony will follow. But so much incident. The highlights will be fantastic. And here they are, leading the way. We had the safety car taking the start of the race. That pulled off, the lights went out, and then at the kickoff, it was very easy indeed for Yusuf Pohaka to pull clear. Already struggling from second place, Chris van der Drift going, oh no, I'm on slicks. Well, at least he was on the track, which is more than can be said for the number 6. Off that went, that was Stephen Yulin. He came back out to carry on racing, but a little bit of a slip up. Then Huilin Han, the Chinese racer, plenty of pressure for him. Vincenzo Sospiri Racing's entry going very well indeed, with Alexander Au in the early part of the race. But staying out there, enjoying the wet weather tyres. Yusuf Pohaka faster and faster, soon a dozen seconds clear. A little slip up there from Alex Au. He was third in the blink of an eye, past two chasers, including Huilin Han, dropped down to 5th overall. Then we had the start of those pit visitors. Alexander Au came in that very lap, handing over to Edoardo Liberati, which meant Liberati was the first of the driver changes. And a little bit of off-track moments. If I go off, you can go off. And that was on the charge into the pits, and that was including the car that would go on to win this race. That was Chris van der Drift trying to make the most of his in. There we have to change the lead. 63 couldn't continue. This is the start of the slide for Kasai. His wet weather tyres just not to his liking, and then Afik Yazid almost held on to take the victory overall, but into the final lap went Evan Chen in second place. Out of the final lap he came in the lead of the race to take the checkered flag. The tactics worked perfectly for Gamma Racing, and there he is starting that final lap. It was of course the penultimate lap that he went through there. Took the lead and then pulled away as he wished. Certainly the tactic for Gamma Racing. Start on wet, dry weather tyres, see if you can survive it. Yes, they could. thanks to Chris van der Drift, and then the change. Evan Chen coming through. Afik Yazid, a noble effort to take second place. And Eduardo Liberati bring it home in third for Sospiri. Calm has fallen on the circuit, and believe it or not, it might be dark here at Sepang. There's still one more race on a packed race schedule here, but we're looking forward to the podium ceremonies for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia races, and there should be enormous smiles on their faces when they mount those steps. So that was plenty of fun. A lot of the drivers gaining experience that will stand them in good stead for their future, but experience that probably frightened them more than a little bit. We would have all had some near misses, some slips towards the edge of the track, over the edge of the track, but really it was a case of some really, really strong performances. It would have been very difficult indeed out there, extremely difficult for the drivers. But I think we only counted about 3 or 4 spins, a couple of off-track moments. So I think that was a really good outcome for the 19 starters. Just turning on your televisions and looking at your live streaming around the world, you might think it's a dry circuit. Well, it might be approaching being dry, but even by the end, the fastest cars were 7-8 seconds off the pole time. Certainly quick times were starting to materialise, but those that were doing them were doing them on tyres that were really starting to suffer. And certainly those who had to do the second part of the race on wet weather tyres, they could feel as though their tyre performance was dropping off a cliff, as drivers like to say. So for Afik Yazid, he would have enjoyed the effort, but he won't have enjoyed the outcome. Second place, he wanted to take victory on home ground, but clearly starting on wet, starting the race on dry tyres in the wet was the way to go, providing you didn't lose too much ground in the first half of the race. So for Chris van der Drift, a job very well done, and it paid dividends, because Evan Chen, when he took over on the dry tyres, they were the right tyres to have. And as you saw at the end, 6.5 seconds clear of Afik Yazid, who was struggling to the finish on his wet weather tyres that were just losing grip almost by the second around the circuit. Drivers still waiting to go up onto the podium. A whole host are being called because, of course, we've got overall, we've got Pro-Am, we've got Am, and we've got Lamborghini Cup class. Just waiting for the drivers to get their caps sorted. Course car going around to investigate what is happening, what the conditions are like ahead of the Malaysia Championship race that's coming out later. But there should be somewhere around 20 drivers waiting to get out onto the podium. They'll be released for the overall podium. Then we'll have Pro-Am, then Am, and the Lamborghini Cup class. But either way, we know that the top step of the podium will be shared by the number 68 crew that just went so well for Gamma Racing. Chris van der Drift and Evan Chen. We saw the huge hugs, the pats on the back, and the sheer relief for them when they got together in Parc Fermé. But for Gamma Racing, it was a roll of the dice to send Chris out on dry weather tyres, on slick tyres, in what was increasing amount of rain. And he really did a fantastic job. It would have been far easier to slip up. He dropped from second at the start of the race back to 7th within a blink of an eye. But there he stayed, thereabouts, and gradually the track dried, but it really was gradual, so it really was a case of tiptoeing around, 6 seconds off the pace, but he managed to bring it down to 4 to 3 to 2 seconds off the pace, made the pit stop, and then it was the right time to be on dry weather tyres. And so for his teammate Evan Chen, it worked very, very well indeed. He had the chase after Afik Yazid, chased the home national, Malaysian racer, hoping to be able to take the checkered flag in front, but the clock ran down on him in the wrong way. It ran against him, not for him, and the chasing Evan Chen got the job done when Afik stood a tiny bit wide. No disgrace in that, going out of turn 2. That's the corner you can see in the background of our main shot. You see the curve of turn 1, that long right-hander, then it dips down to turn 2, and as he went into the compression, that might have lost him a bit more traction. Slid towards the edge of the circuit, and Evan Chen needed no further invitation. It sounds, judging by booming in the pit lane, that the podium ceremony is about to kick off, and we're going to stay for the top 3 finishes overall. So the winners come out first. Chris van der Drift with the beard on the left, and Evan Chen looking quite tired but very happy on the right-hand side of the podium. Second place to Afit Yazid, gentlemanly handshake there. So really good run, and his teammate in 38 Hojas Racing entry, Toshiyuki Ochai. And then in third place, third onto the podium, second in the Pro-Am category, the 66 crew from Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, Alexander Au, who kicked off, and Eduardo Liberati standing on the right-hand side, taking third position overall. So plenty of awards. I think anybody who wants to the end of the race deserves a clap on the back, a pat on the back, but plenty of applause for the top 3 finishers. It was very, very tricky indeed out of the circuit. I think a fantastic showing. I think for the majority of the drivers, they'll hope their second race here at the opening round of the Asian arm of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo will be hoping maybe for rather more predictable conditions tomorrow afternoon. Did I say afternoon when the rain tends to come at Sepang? Yes, I did. They're kicking off at around 4 o'clock. So do dial in again and we'll see. Well, full daylight for the race tomorrow. Whether wet or dry, we will see. But some fantastic performances. But hats off to Chris van der Drift up on the top step of the podium with his teammate Evan Chen, the driver from Taipei. So smiles aplenty for the cameras, and I think they will sleep well tonight after that performance. Trophies, photos, smiles, and of course the fizz will be unleashed. I dare say a lot of the drivers got wet just waiting to take over those cars or standing on the grid before the race, but time for the champagne. That brings an end to the broadcast of the first round of the first race, the first round of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. They entertained us enormously. More tomorrow, please.